Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Grand Cruise Astrology. My name is Clayton Cruz, and today I'm going to talk to you about the South Node lunar eclipse happening in the sign of Capricorn. So, when I first looked at this eclipse, this was over a month ago when I was looking at the progression of three eclipses that we had. We had the South Node lunar eclipse a month ago in the sign of Sagittarius, and then we had a North Node solar eclipse in the sign of Cancer a couple of weeks ago, and now we have the South Node eclipse in the sign of Capricorn. So when I was looking at this set of three eclipses, they were all, challenging in different ways. And when I got to the last one, I kind of chucked this one up to, a final episode of a challenging eclipses, right? And sort of an apex point, if you will, of the eclipse season. And it didn't, just at a glance, it didn't inspire a lot of optimism in me when I first looked at it. But I looked at it again and kind of fleshed it out and delineated it a little more. And I'm seeing that this actually, the eclipse one itself, within itself, is not looking so terrible. In fact, there's an opportunity for some creativity and some fun and some newness with this eclipse that I really like, and I'm going to get into that. And I'm happily going to get into that because that's not what I originally thought this video was going to be about. So let's get started. Again, the eclipse is at it's a full moon lunar eclipse, 13 degrees Capricorn. Now I've talked about the eclipses and the nodes therein, and I've done another video or two about that. So you can look at that if you don't understand exactly what I'm talking about with the nodes. But every eclipse is on a nodal spectrum, which has to do with where the ecliptic and the celestial equator connect with the moon, and it's a whole mathematical calculation. Not important for this video. Just understand that the north node has to do with energy coming in, with a power surge of energy, and the south node has to do with energy going out, an energy release. Okay. And so with this eclipse, it's a south node lunar eclipse. So with every eclipse, it's going to have in one part of the sky a surge, and another part of the sky a power outage. And in this case, the moon is representative of the power outage, and the sun is representative of the power surge. Why? Because the sun and the moon are in opposition. That's what a full moon is. And when we have an eclipse, it's representative of that power surge that I'm talking about. So, power surge or power outage. So, the fact that the sun and the moon being in opposition are not actually conjunct the nodes in the sky. Again, that mathematical calculation point. They are close, but they're not exactly conjunct. In fact, they're in different signs by about 15, 16 degrees. So, I mean, it's a pretty far spread. Means that this is a very partial eclipse. It's not a full-on, the eclipse that we had 2 weeks ago, that was very close. It was within 2 degrees of the nodes. That was a very charged eclipse, astrologically speaking. This one is a lot more, it's a lot less charged. It has a lot less punch to it. So the eclipse itself, however, we had an eclipse a month ago. There was also a partial eclipse, but it was aspected in a very challenging way. So that was the full moon itself wasn't terribly charged with eclipsed energy. It did have some, but it was more the aspects to that full moon that blew it up and really made it very challenging. So this one is again a partial eclipse. It is a full moon, but it's not aspected nearly as challenging as the one that was a month ago. In fact, the challenge that I see with this eclipse is not going to be happening right away. It's going to be progressing over the next couple of weeks. With eclipses, they leave an imprint in the sky. You could think of it that way, which lasts for about 6 months until you get to the next sequence of eclipses. Okay, so how that works is the degrees in the sky where you have the eclipse. In this case, we're going to have We're going to have a eclipse at 13 degrees Capricorn. You can take the point of the eclipse, 13 degrees Capricorn. You could take the degree across from the eclipse at 13 degrees Cancer. And then to a lesser extent, you could take the degrees square, which would be 13 degrees Aries and 13 degrees Libra. Those become sensitive points in the sky, so that when any time you have a transit from transiting planet to either of those four quadrants in those degrees, um, there's a little more sensitivity, there's a little more effect, there's a little more impact. Okay. Um, so that's just to say that when this eclipse itself, I'm not seeing a terribly sensitive point being triggered right away. But within a couple of weeks, there could be some rumblings with this that have to do with the eclipse degrees that I'm talking about, those sensitive points, and some other aspects to it from transiting planets. So, nothing too crazy, but it's there. And so, for right now, though, as I'm looking at the eclipse, it's actually aspected in a there is opportunity for growth and for novelty and creativity. There is some things around this eclipse that I have a lot of optimism about that I wasn't necessarily seeing before. So let's jump right in. Again, all right, 13 degrees Capricorn is the lunar eclipse full moon. It is on the south node quadrant of the sky. So with this eclipse, we're looking at a release power outage in the sign of Capricorn at 13 degrees with the moon. So what does that look like? Well, the moon has to do with our emotional nature, our instinctual nature. Um, it could have to do with mothering. It can have to do with family, security. It can have to do with nourishment. Okay, and so with the moon in Capricorn anyway, that's not the moon's favorite location. Capricorn isn't the most nourishing sign. It's opposite of Cancer. Cancer is where the moon feels very at home. Capricorn is where the moon is feels very far from home. It literally is in the zodiac. So it's feeling a little stark in Capricorn. It's a little dry and a little cool for the moon's more warm sort of the yeah for the moon's more sort of yeah, what's the word I'm looking for, moist, okay, and warm and moist and sort of with that lunar sort of the moon is signifies can signify the ocean and the waves and the tides. All right. Well, Capricorn is very dry and it's like it's very cool. All right. It's like winter. Right. Think of the season that you have Capricorn. Right. So the moon there, it's in its detriment in a sense. So when you have a full moon there, it can feel a little not very well nourished. And you have a south node eclipse there. Um, it's it's like there's a release of emotional energy and a feeling of yeah, it can feel a little bone dry, emotionally. Okay, that's just with the eclipse itself. All right, but if you look to the other part of the sky, we have the sun in the sign of Cancer with Mercury that has gone retrograde. They're within a few degrees of each other. So um, the sun, it's in the sign of the moon, right? The sun is bringing light, it's bringing illumination to Cancerian energy, right? It's the season for it, literally. And so with Mercury there, and I did a video about Mercury being retrograde in the sign of Cancer and how, as a collective and individuals within a collective, we're sort of doing this deep dive into our emotional nature and getting very cerebral about it, taking an inventory about it, being very conscious on a very mental level about it. With the sun there, it brings another level of conscious energy to that. The sun is very objective and very yeah, it's very removed. It can be very, yeah, it has conscious perspective on things. It makes conscious choices about emotional decisions as opposed to the moon, which just feels and goes. It just goes by intuition and it doesn't think. The moon thinks, right? The moon is more mind related, right? So um, all together with this, we're looking at an eclipse that can be very objective and have us being a little bit more cerebral and a little taking a little bit longer view on what may be triggering us in the moment. That is the potential, right? Um, it can at times feel a little cold and cool and dry. We may not necessarily be in touch with our emotions as much as we are our thoughts. Okay, that's another way that this can work. Or we may be very in touch with our emotional nature, our instinctual nature, but we're looking at it like it's almost like we're looking at it in front of us. We have it in front of us. We're connected to it, yes, but we're not in it. We're actually able to see it. Okay? This is the potential with this energy is that we get a view of it and we get to take a look at what is normally unconscious and just on autopilot and actually have some conscious thought and examine it and maybe even pick it apart. I mean, Mercury is still going retrograde. It's about to be going direct in another week or so. And then that process of uh, taking inventory and really looking at things on a very cerebral mental level will actually be able to implement some things um, internally going forward with that. But now we're sort of still in that observation mode, right? And this is going to shine a light on that. It's going to really bring it out into the open so we can look at it. Um, Probably not the best time to probably not the best time to expect to be felt on an emotional level or to feel. Although, again, because we are conscious of our emotional nature, it may be quite the opposite. It may be the exact time to feel. I just think there's going to be another level of consciousness to this. It's not going to be purely instinctual, animalistic sort of, you know, uh, yeah. It's there's going to be another level of thought. So this is kind of tricky territory to put into words because again we're talking about the unconscious and we're talking about the moon, we're talking about lunar energy, and here I am trying to make sense of it consciously and do exactly what the process is that I'm describing. I'm trying to do that right now and pick apart emotional nature in a very mental way, and it can be a little tricky. And eclipses can be they can be a lot of fun because you're dealing with an opposition of the sun and moon, right? You're trying to integrate two things um, that are on polarity. So that's what the eclipse itself is representing, as I understand it. It is an opportunity. It is an opportunity, and with the aspects to it. Okay, so I was talking about the imprint that the planets make when they're an aspect to an eclipse. Um, well, that's the imprint that the eclipse makes, and when other planets transit and aspect that imprint, then we can have manifestation in the world or within ourselves, right? So what's happening with that? Well, we have Mars that has gone into Aries, and I did a video about Mars and how that's really bringing some ruffling some feathers and bringing some action-oriented energy into the world, right? It's go time, right? So that's there, and it's not directly aspecting this eclipse. It's about 10 degrees off, all right? It's in the sign of Aries, which is square to both Capricorn and Cancer. So by sign, it is square, but it's not exact by degree. So there could be some rumblings under the surface with this Mars energy, but I more see it coming into manifestation in a couple of weeks, a few weeks, or right around July 23rd, 24th, right around in there. I see there may be some action taken. There may be some with this examination that we're doing, with these insights that we're having around our own nature, or this could manifest externally the in the world as well, because Mars is action oriented energy. But I'm seeing the action. I'm seeing the apex, the culmination of this T square energy happening right around July 23rd, 24th. But we are now maybe receiving hints, receiving insights, receiving downloads about what this could be, what this manifestation could be, what this action is that may be taken by us or to us or around us. We're going to get some hints on what this could be, because we're going to have a certain clarity coming through, I believe, with this eclipse. There's some aha moments around what we need as individuals, as what we need, in relation to our family, what we need in relation to our institutions, our governments, our corporations, power structures. All right, these are all Cancerian and Capricornian words, and so there's that you can see with that description between Cancer and Capricorn. There is sort of a polarity in these energies. There's a very folksy energy with the Cancer, very family oriented, and then there's the Capricorn energy that is very professional and very official. All right, and there's this dichotomy here that we're looking at right now with this eclipse. We're looking at our relationship to it and our triggers therein. And when Mars gets to Aries at 13 degrees, right around July 23rd, 24th, I do think this could represent sort of an apex point, or a point of tension that has to be released. And with Mars, it's going to be action oriented. What that could look like is anyone's guess, and it's all up to us as individuals, is what level of consciousness we act upon. But that energy is going to be in play later in the month. Mars will also then be making more aspects. Again, I did a whole video about Mars, and Mars is, throughout the rest of the year, is going to be a major theme. It's a major player. It is on time to ruffle some feathers and shake some things up by design. So first stop will be July 23rd, 24th. So, but for the eclipse right now, I like it. Okay, I do like the possibility, the potential for a lot of awareness, a lot of aha moments around ourselves. I mean, just taking it internal, all right, because it's a lunar eclipse. It's personal, right? And so behind the eyes, like it's a continued deep dive of this Mercury retrograde that's had us going inward and looking at our triggers and our responses, and who are we, and how do we truly feel. There's a consciousness around this. This is a very powerful opportunity. Great time to assess and purge if necessary, right? And so, with this eclipse as well, we have a positive aspect from Uranus. So Uranus is going to be trine to the eclipse and sextile to the sun. So it's going to be providing Uranian energy. Well, what is Uranian energy? Uranian energy is novel. It's genius. When it's positively aspected, it's novel. It's genius. It's electric. It's original. It's out of nowhere. It's very it's unpredictable and can be inconsistent when negatively aspected, but when it's positively aspected, it can be very spontaneous, right? And so when we're talking about Earth energy at the sign of the eclipse, the Capricorn, where the moon is, and we're talking about Uranus in the sign of Taurus, this could be an opportunity to, well, like for example, in the United States, it's a holiday, right? And I suggest with this eclipse probably, if you can, not putting energy into the workspace, not putting energy into the professional sphere of things, but trying to enjoy yourself a little more, trying to take it easy, trying to take a step back, I think this Uranian energy can provide an opportunity for connection in that way, or some carefreeness connecting with people in a very unique and different way that's beyond sort of the custom and tradition of the past. Because Capricorn is the past. Capricorn is all about customs and the way we've always done things. And, forgive me for being a little ethnocentric in the United States, but I'm just thinking about how, well, maybe, we people go to the, they celebrate 4th of July and they go to the same fireworks show every year and they bring the bucket of chicken and that's what they do. Okay. And that's just how it is. That's the tradition. That's the ceremonial thing that we always do. And they've kind of codified it into something that is a tradition, right? That's one example. But with this eclipse, it's saying, hey, let that go. All right. Like you can still get together. The Cancerian energy of connecting with family, connecting with people, connecting with your kin, close people that are close in your life. That's highlighted with the sun. All right. And with Uranus there, it's providing um, a way of doing that in a very different way. That's new, spontaneous, that's different. That's outside of the linear timeline, right? This can be the blip on the radar. This can be a really exciting opportunity to do something very different. It's providing that energy there. So, because it's positively aspected, I don't really have a lot of warnings with that. Um, no, no, just have fun. Try to enjoy it. Try to enjoy it. It's there. It can be tapped into. It's original. It's spontaneous. It's different. It has an opportunity to provide for a memorable weekend with the eclipse itself. So that's that. Now, again, I'll do another video when it comes time to talk about the Mars aspect, or the Mars transit coming to the eclipse points on July 23rd, 24th. We'll talk more about that when the time comes. But right now, there could be awareness about what it is coming in a couple of weeks. So I don't think it's going to be a huge surprise out of nowhere. Um, but this is a time, I think, to get creative, to enjoy, and to connect, and to be around people that you love and that you feel close to. It's a really good time for that. So I don't have any dire warnings with this eclipse. I mean, I'm sure you could find some if you wanted to, but I want to keep it optimistic on this. I want to keep it positive. And I have the data to make that case. So there it is. That's what I'm gonna leave you with. Now, just kind of a side note here. Again, I mentioned that it's probably not a great time, if you can at all help it, if it's in your power, to put work down, or to at least release some emotional attachments that you have to work, or to systems, to anything official, to um, turn the news off, for God's sakes, right? This is Capricornian stuff, right? The company line, the official line, or the tuning into the decree from the power structures. Okay, anything of that nature, just turn it off for the weekend, man. Just let it go. Let it go. Connect with family. Connect with people that you like. Connect with your friends. Okay, connect with people that make you feel nourished. Okay, and like, this could be a very much an expression of connecting at social distancing. We have Mercury and the Sun in the sign of Cancer. Both Mercury and the Sun are very sort of mental, sort of removed energy. They're not very emotional. And yet they're in the sign of Cancer, which has to do with kinship and emotion. So if there's ever an aspect for getting together and social distancing, this is it. All right. But with Uranus there, it's going to provide, a potential to still really have an enjoyable time and have fun with it. So go for it. All right. Just see what you can do. See what you can make happen with this energy. Just try to tap into that electricity of Uranus, because it really is connecting the sun and the moon in a very unique, positive, original, outside the box kind of way. So that's what I got. Have fun with it. Take care. I'll do more videos here coming up. There's going to be a lot happening in a lot of different places in the sky, but I'll leave you with this for now. Enjoy the weekend, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.